Hello my friends, and welcome to the Drunken Kelts Very Different Game of the Year Awards. Now I think we can all agree 2019, while being pretty good, has not exactly been a great year for gaming. There's certainly nothing that's reached the heady heights of Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War, our personal favourite from last year, but there's still been some pretty decent efforts, and each of the Drunken Kelts have went through and picked their personal favourite. So let's get started. Now, our first pick comes from the newest member of the Drunken Kelts, and that's, of course, our friend all the way from Germany, Mr. Remus Crux. Now, Remus hasn't managed to play many games this year, but there's one that did stand out to him, and of course that's My Little Pony, the Unicorn Princess for the PlayStation 4. Now, if you don't know much about the Unicorn Princess, let me just tell you a couple of its features here. It's a horse riding simulation game set in a fantasy world, a game that combines the reality of horses with the fantasy of unicorns. Now, there's 15, count them, 15 different missions between two worlds, many options to customise your character and horse. It's an open world to explore in the back of one of six different horses available. It's a family game, of course, with no violence, which is perfect for Germans and those who love horses and unicorns. And plus, the one big feature, it's the only game starring unicorns this year. So that one's for you, Remus. Next up, we have our man Bulby's pick, and that is Greedfall. Greedfall. No, Greedfall, Greedfall. I always keep calling it Greedfall for some reason, but Greedfall, is an action role-playing game developed by Spiders and published by Focus Home Interactive. Now, the game's set in a 17th century stylised fantasy setting. It's an island paradise that's been discovered by different colonial forces from several distinct nations or factions, and it's got magic and monsters in there. Really unique kind of aesthetic, and the world is definitely the star here. It's got different zones all around the island that you'll fight in, and Bulby absolutely loves the customization and the deep RPG mechanics that are in it. I mean, in the game you can do combat, stealth, there's even some diplomacy. It's got a huge kind of overarching narrative that drives you through the story and is really good. But as I say, the main thing that attracted me to this is just the style of it. It looks fantastic. I mean, absolutely amazing. The story sounds pretty interesting as well. There's a sickness that needs to be cured and stuff like that as you begin the game. But as I say, it's kind of more of an old school RPG, and it's one that slipped straight by my radar. So maybe get some less than, I think it's sitting in a 75 average in Metacritic, but don't let that put you off. It's definitely been getting some cracking reviews and comments from places all round, and it's one to look out for if you're an RPG fan. So thanks for that, Bulby. That's Greedfall. Not Greedfall, Greedfall. Right, next up, we have another Wayne's game, and that's Mr. McGee's pick, and that's Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, to be honest, I don't really know much about the Pokemon games. I'm too much of an old cunt to remember that stuff or be into it from back in the day, but this is this first kind of big console, shall we say, version of Pokemon, and it's been getting a bit of backlash, I know that, but a lot of people are happy with it, and McGee is one of them. He says it's the best game he's played this year, hands down, and who can disagree? I think it's working better for him than the puppies or Haribo ever have. So good on you, McGee. Keep that Pokemon on the go as always and catch them all. You know what I'm saying, mate? Okay, that'll bring us on to my personal pick, and that's Baltic, and I have picked Mortal Kombat 11. Now, although this game has got flaws, and many of them, it's still the game I've had the most fun with this year. I've not partaken in the DLC characters. I'll wait until they're all out, if I bother at all. That's one thing that pisses me off more and more in fighting games, Do you buy it day one and get in there, or do you just wait for the finished version? Anyway, stop talking about its flaws. It's absolutely brilliant. Brilliant mechanics, brilliant story. I just don't like all their currencies and stuff like that. It's well overboard with that shit. And all the kind of DLCs and stuff, as I say, I'm not into that. But as a core game, just as a core fighting game with the core characters and everything, I haven't had a better time this year, and it's probably sucked up more hours from me than ever. The story mode, as I say, it's a normal Mortal Kombat thing, over the top, different timelines clashing. It's a good wee excuse for a romp through with all the characters, but where it comes alive for me is the online tournaments. The ranked mods is really good. Although the point system could be shored up a great deal, it's still a total blast and one I highly recommend. Okay, so moving on from that, now we have Luke's pick, and he's went for Days Gone, which, if you don't know about Days Gone, it's the open world action adventure survival horror game, or as I like to call it, the Daryl Dixon simulator. Is it Dixon? Is his name Dixon? I don't know, I need to go with exporting that. He's our resident Walking Dead expert. But yeah, open world game. I've played this, quite a bit of this as well. Now, it must be said, this game does start off a bit slow, and we were talking about Mortal Kombat having some flaws. This game also had a few flaws, we would say, when it first came out. It's still a bit that it's got some problems with pacing, if you ask me, but if you make it through the beginning of the game, it definitely opens up, and by the time you've got your upgrades and stuff and more weapons, access to more weapons, and you're taking on the hordes, which is a truly unique experience this year. Brilliant buzz you'll get doing that. It's really worth a try. I mean, I personally liked some of the mechanics that put people off. You know, your bike running out of fuel really tied me into that world and brought the survival element in there. You know, you've got to constantly check, have I got enough fuel to get here, where am I going? There was a bit of criticism about the stuff you can pick up, and yeah, I agree with it. It's pretty boring, and you can only pick up a set amount, which leaves you doing it again and again and again, and it's like, why can I only carry 10 tissues, mate? What the fuck? You got a bike there, man, get something on it. But anyway, regardless of that, I say it starts off slow. You will warm up to the character Deacon St. John. It comes off a bit wooden at first, but as you go through and you uncover more of the story, and there is a few stupid bits in this story, but it definitely is enough to push you through. I think if you like the core mechanics of the gameplay, which itself is really good, and there's nothing better than just blazing about on your bike and jumping off with your crossbows on, doing a couple of these zombies, which have got freaks in the game in the head. So that's Luke's pick there. Thank you for that, Mr. Luke. Next up, we have Export's Game of the Year, and if you know anything at all about Export, you know there could only be one game that he would be picking, and that's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, another game that's come into some criticism with some technical glitches. It's still amazing. They've nailed the graphics here and the look of the Star Wars, you know, universe. The sound design, again, most Star Wars games, always stellar. They've ripped it straight from the movies. You've also got, like, it's a kind of pick and mix of the best gamings for the last few years. So they've got a bit of Uncharted in there, and then they've got some heavy Dark Souls inspired combat and kind of level design. But you also get to explore all different planets. You're following a decent story. The main character, I'd say, is a bit blah blah blah, you know. I'm not as far into it as Export, obviously, at the moment, but I'm really enjoying my time with it. And if you're a Star Wars fan, or even a fan of, you know, your action adventure kind of games with a bit of combat, you know, bit of traversal in there, it's really worth a try. So that's Export's pick. Thank you, Export. And that moves us on to the very last pick, and that's from Neville, and I'm so glad they put this one in here. I've not had the chance to play this. It's Super Mario Maker 2. Now, when it comes to platforming, let's all just agree that Mario is the pinnacle, okay? And this lets you make your own Mario levels. So if you're into that, and it comes with a whole host, I think it's over 90 actual Nintendo designed levels to get you started, so that's just as much as any mainline Mario game, if not more. They've added the Super Mario 3D World assets now. I know they've just come out with an update that's added some Link stuff in there and that. It looks amazing. As I say, total customization and fun for hours if you want to build your own stuff. I'm not into that, I like playing them, but some of the maps that people come up with on this is simply amazing, and Nev's had a great time with this year. Now, that'll wrap us up for our games of the year, and I just want to say, obviously, we've not played everything. Control was one that none of the guys managed to get to this year. None of us were really impressed by Hideo Kojima. Thanks, Mac. Death Stranding. COD. Pretty much sick of COD by now. Although I will play through the one-player campaign, you know, maybe eventually. That's got a lot of problems as well. But as we say, this year, there are a few honourable mentions. Resident Evil 2 Remake was almost right in there for Bobby's pick. That's another game I've only played a little of, but I definitely want to get back to myself. Capcom done an amazing job getting that all together. Then, of course, there's World War Z, which me and a few of the boys have had a great time with this year. Online, co-op, fighting zombie hordes, not quite like the zombie hordes from Days Gone, but apparently this game was initially going to be the multiplayer mode for Days Gone, and they fucked up there, because if that was in it, they'd made it a hell of a lot better. Maybe up there in more Game of the Year contenders. But as I say, if you like that kind of Left 4 Dead kind of style but third person, definitely check it out. They've added loads of new maps to it throughout the year, and it's just getting better and better. Speaking of getting better and better, I also want to mention Gears 5. Huge improvement on 4. Really good return to form for the Gears franchise, and it continues on from the story of 4, but the campaign in my eyes is 10 times better. Really good co-op action, as I say. You've got your multiplayer in there, plenty of multiplayer modes. Really good. Was almost up there for my game of the year, so worth a shot if you've not been into Gears for a wee while. It's certainly the best one since 3, so yeah, give that a shot as well. Another game I want to mention was actually initially released last year, but the finished version, and that's Kingdom Come Deliverance, the Royal Edition, was released this May. And I could go on talking about this game forever and ever. It's so deep. It's a RPG, old school type RPG. Beautiful open world, setting a realistic setting. You know, it's based in, I think, 14th century Bohemia, which is like fuck knows what it is now, but anyway, there's no dragons or nothing jumping about this, and the game is absolutely got its hooks in myself and Bobby at the moment of the Drunken Kelts, and it's one I would suggest anybody pick up if you like your RPGs. This is a must play. It's approaching my game of the decade, to be honest, and straight up there on some of the best games I've ever played. It's just so deep. The story's really, really compelling. Every side quest in it is different, compelling. It does a great job of immersing you in the world. The mechanics are great once you get into them. I know the beginning of the game puts a lot of people off. I mean, you're talking about a 5-hour prologue here before you can even really access some of the main combat skills you're going to be using through the game. You start off basically practically crap at everything, and you have to build your character up. But as you build the character up, everything you do adds to these stats, skills, and you'll get better and better. There's a real feeling of progression and customization, and some of the voice acting in this game is absolutely hilarious. It's spot on. The writing's great. I can't say enough good things about this game, but I better stop there because I will go on forever. Guard Freeze also mentioned he liked Days Gone this year. That's probably the only game this year he wanted, and a honourable shout out to Mario Kart on the mobile, the Mario Kart mobile game. So that's us. We'll wrap it up for this Game of the Year awards, and remember, as always, subscribe, like, comment, all that shit, and we'll be ending this video with a special shout out for Remus. Here you go, Remus, specially for you. Catches.
Ich fragte, wozu Freundschaft gut sein kann. Doch dann botet ihr die Freundschaft mir an. Abenteuer, Spaß und Spiel und etwas fürs Herz, von allem ganz viel. Lieb und freundlich zueinander sein und obendrein gibt's Zauberei.